All right, guys, this little post I put on Instagram got a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention, I'll say. And it was me being interviewed by Mark Bell, and Mark Bell asked the question. Well, let me play it here. I'll play it for you guys, and we'll talk about it.
But sometimes people will say, like, if you eat liver, it helps you heal the liver. If you eat heart, it helps heal the heart.
I think that's nonsense.
There's no, right? That's like,
yeah, it's all broken down in your stomach into its
I mean, it might be someone's belief, but it's not. There's no science to any of that.
No, that's complete nonsense.
Right.
Okay, so Mark asked the question, what do you think about, do you need to eat liver to heal your liver and heart to heal your heart? And I basically said that's kind of nonsense, right? I mean, do I need to eat eyeballs to have my eyeball? Do I need to eat penis if I've got erectile dysfunction? Do I need to eat, bones if I fracture my bone? I mean, it's kind of I come at from that angle there. And it's not that, certain nutrition can't be found in greater density, in different parts, different tissues. Fat has more, obviously fatty tissue has more fat in it. Muscle has more protein in it. The liver has more vitamin A in it, on and on and on. And so we've got these different thoughts around that. And, what I have said from the beginning is you can be incredibly healthy. You can be optimal without eating organ meats. It's clearly something that I see all the time. I want to share with you guys this video from, so there's a guy named Vilmar Stefansson, and I think I butchered his first name, but anyway, he was an Arctic explorer. Some of you guys are familiar with him, but anyway, he spent about a dozen years living in the most northern remote regions of Canada. He was the first guy ever to explore that area. He spent a tremendous amount of time. He said, until I was there for about a year, I don't think anybody should comment on these habits of these indigenous populations. And so, as you guys know, some of you guys that follow social media, there's some popular people that, they go down for a little PR tour of, Africa. They'll go hang out with the Hadza for a couple of days and chase some baboons around. And, now they'll tell you, oh, this is how our ancestors ate and blah, blah. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? And, it's like, well, these Hadza, they're eating baboons now, right? Well, it's like, so should we all be eating baboons, right? Maybe we should all be eating baboon meat so we can be like the Hadza, right? Well, why are they eating Hadza? Why are they eating baboons? It's the only damn thing left. Everything else they would have normally eaten is gone. And so there's a difference in how these modern observable indigenous populations, going back several 100 years even, live compared to what they would have lived like, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years, 50,000, 100,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago. Very different. So watch this video from Stefansson. I think it's very insightful, and I'll be back in just a second.
This raises the whole question of food. Then, surely there's some. You yourself must have longed for a green vegetable once in a while.
Well, I did at first. My first experience was that a ship that was supposed to meet me didn't meet me. And I had to become a guest of the Eskimos, and for 4.5 months, I lived on literally nothing but fish and water. Well, we had some blubber, some polar bear blubber, but apart from that, and at the end of 4.5 months, I was healthier than I'd never been before. And enjoying every meal and feeling fine.
And this is on an exclusive meat diet?
That was exclusive fish in this case. Okay. I have since then spent more than 6 years on red meat. That is seal meat, caribou meat, muskox meat, polar bear, grizzly bear, and so on. You have to have fat with a lean. Lean and fat together make a perfect diet. A balanced diet.
A balanced diet.
Balanced diet. You have everything you need if you have both lean and fat. You don't have to eat any organs. That's a peculiar folklore.
Oh, is that
we
so?
We feed the organs mostly to the dogs.
Oh, this is where your earlier comment about being able to feed the dogs and the men and so on.
Yes, we usually feed the organs rich in vitamins that you hear so much talk about. Yeah. The dogs get most of those.
I see.
People don't care for them and don't eat them.
Well, now,
except in emergencies.
Oh, yes. One of the things that you did was to demonstrate this fact, I take it, for the first time. Is that so?
Well, not for the first time, the Eskimos, in fact, Stone Age men, I think that before the invention of agriculture, which dates back only about 15,000 years, before that, the whole world lived the way Eskimos did. Approximately. Take the French cave art. The way the artists show the French cavemen living 40,000 years ago, that's the way we lived.
Yes.
Big game. Big game hunters.
Okay, so Stefansson, who, again, spent a dozen years with these guys, really observing them and really learning, not the 3-day, social media tour, right? And his conclusion is basically meat and fat is a balanced diet. That's what you need. The organ meats, we didn't really eat them. We threw them to the dogs occasionally, except in an emergency. You heard him say that. And he writes it in his book again, and he does describe places where they did eat them, but in general, his impression after spending more than a decade with these people is that it's not necessary. This is the same conclusion that people have been on a carnivore diet. It actually stuck with a carnivore diet, didn't start guzzling honey and fruit, but actually stuck on it and found out that they don't really need to eat the organ meats. And again, and I know there's like, well, there's anecdotal stuff and this is that, and are there any studies? There's not a lot of studies out there. There is a study, this was a study that Harvard University did, 2,000 people doing a carnivore diet. They surveyed them. About 40% of the people were eating organ meats, 60% weren't. And they looked at nutritional deficiencies, signs and symptoms of side effects. No difference between the two groups. So at least we can say that there doesn't seem to be any nutrient deficiencies that we see. Now, is there magical healing powers? Am I going to get lutein from eating eyeballs and therefore I should eat lutein? Now, this is a concept I've talked about. Some people say, Dr. Baker, you're being contradictory because you said, if you're eating animal tissue, you're going to make animal tissue. So surely if you eat liver, you're going to make more liver. That's not quite how our digestive system works. And to think about it, let's just say, well, the liver is a rich source of vitamin A, and therefore I need to eat more vitamin A so my liver can have more vitamin A. That's not the reason we eat vitamin A. We eat vitamin A for many reasons, right? And every cell in our body uses vitamin A. Every single cell in our body uses vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin E and vitamin K, and B12 and B6. All of them use that. So when you ask yourself, well, does that mean they contain that? If they're using it, then it's probably there, right? So every cell in my body has some level of that. Now, some have it more concentrated than others. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean the liver needs more vitamin A to function as a liver. It just happens to accumulate there, not because it's some functional need that the liver has. Liver cells don't need more, say, vitamin A than, say, does a muscle cell or any significant difference. It's just that's where it happens to accumulate. We also have to realize that, there's only a small amount of liver relative to what's on me, and particularly when we're talking large game animals. We look at a cow, beef liver, that's 10 pounds. How much muscle meat's on a cow? You're looking at, 450, 500 pounds. So it's a small fraction of that. And as anyone who's ever hunted knows, the organs and the viscera, they decay very quickly, right? They're not something you can preserve very easily. So that's why some people would eat them early. And the other thing is people will say, well, these alpha wolves, they eat the liver first. Well, that's debatable how much, they always eat the liver first. They rip the viscera open. They rip in the gut. It's easier to kill an animal that way, but it's also where the fat is going to be. If you're hunting leaner animals, and usually wolves and, other predators are hunting relatively lean animals, or, they're hunting, deer and things like that, those animals are relatively lean, and the only fat they're going to have access to is the visceral fat. And so I think it's as much a need for fat as to say, oh, I need the nutrition from the liver or the kidneys or the spleen or the pancreas, or whatever you said. Again, this is, in order to heal my gut, I must eat intestines. I mean, is anybody saying that? I mean, I hear a lot about bone broth. Well, bone broth heals your intestine. Well, that doesn't make sense because you need to eat bone to heal your bones and intestines to heal your intestines. So I push back against this stuff. I think it's, again, when we talk about these Hadza eating baboons, again, why are they eating baboons? Because they're frigging starving. Are they eating baboon testicles because they want to be stronger in their testes or baboon penises? It's because it's the only food they have. They're starving. Otherwise, if they don't eat this whole animal, they ain't getting much else. That's a very different situation. And we know it's clearly a different situation from what early prehistoric man had. Prehistoric man had lots of megafauna everywhere. They were excellent hunters. They had no problem killing elephants and mastodons. They had tons of fatty meat. Did they eat some of the brains? Sure they did. Did they eat some of the bone marrow? Apparently so. Why were they doing those things? Probably because of the fat content, if I had to speculate. And I think there's good reason to assume that's the case. A lot of people, myself included, and I'll admit my bias here, I don't really care for the taste of liver and kidneys. I've had them, I've tried them. They didn't do anything for me. I've had them prepared by top chefs. At best, they weren't disgusting, but I mean, I didn't find them like, ooh, there's some magical power. I tried it. I forced myself to eat it. I got no magical powers. I had no magical powers from this stuff. And I know it's very popular on social media to be primal and primitive and, ooh, look at me. You know, a lot of it's just showmanship and marketing. And unfortunately, some of these people have a product to sell you. And they're very good at selling these things. And they're very good at being sciencey and using, very elaborate language and concepts. And, oh, you know, this CoQ10 isn't hard, and therefore you need to take this supplement or eat some hearts because it's going to make your heart stronger. Again, the evidence that supports that is not, I have not seen any, and I don't really have a big interest either way. Again, at the end of the day, I like everybody's getting healthy. I don't like seeing people getting scammed. And so this is why I push back on some of this stuff, and I call some of this stuff, these concept nonsense. Now, I'm not going to say that your particular anecdote is wrong or what you believe is wrong. But again, when you have people out there saying, you must buy my product because you're not going to be optimized if you don't take it, it's kind of nonsense, guys. Anyway, that's my perspective. You can agree, disagree, comment in the comments. Like I said, I go by results and what I see, and I've got data. Like I said, I collected data on 12,000 people doing a carnivore diet. We saw the same thing as a Harvard University study. No difference in organ meats, no difference in grass-fed or grain-fed. So I know that's another topic there. And so that's all I have to go on is actual results. It's one of those things. Take care and let me know what you think. Bye-bye.